Hey folks, this is Kalani. 6.1 brought us some hunter changes which we're going to have to talk about because the whole survival is king thing is kind of dead. So Marksman had a few changes which brought it up, so it's now on par with survival for single target fights, but Beast Mastery has some changes which pulls it both up onto single target and then pushes it ahead on single target and AoE fights when you get the gear. So the gear, specifically, is your 4-set bonus in tier 17. If you don't have the 4-set bonus, then the DPS difference on a single target fight between Marksman, Beast Mastery and Survival is going to be very small, but Beast Mastery will always take the cake on an AoE fight due to its large burst. Survival is very good for AoE, but sadly it's more sustained AoE. It doesn't quite match up to a Bestial Wrath Beast Cleave massacre that Beast Mastery is. So, what we need to talk about is Beast Mastery, because it is now the prominent spec for raiding, especially when you do get that 4-set, and what that entails, because Beast Mastery, to get the most out of it, is actually a lot more complicated than Marksman or Survival. So if that's not your thing, if that's not your cup of tea, bugger off back to Survival and enjoy your Serpent Sting and smashing everything down with lock and load, etc. Now, for Beast Mastery, we're going to be looking at talents. You want Crouching Tiger, Hidden Chimera for its obvious good stuff. Binding Shot, Iron Hawk, Steady Focus. Now this is where things get a little interesting. Beast Mastery is a lot about stacking focus regen, somewhat. So this now affects your pet once again. So that's nice and clear in text now. Focus regen for you and your pet. That means more attacks from your pet, that means more kill commands from you, which we'll get to a little later. But Stampede has been buffed to be absolutely ridiculous. You take Stampede, no questions asked. Unless there's, I think it's a great deal of movement on a fight and potentially 3+ targets. And then Blink Strikes comes into effect. But Stampede is still going to give you some of the best DPS in the game right now, which is kind of ridiculous, and it's fun to have a nice cooldown to push. Barrage is going to be your choice both for AoE and single target, and then the last one is Adaptation. This really doesn't change, I'll be honest. Blink Strikes may be okay if you get to a certain point, but I'll be honest, it's not really worth it. It's not really worth it. Stampede's fun, Stampede's great, and we like to have that for 40 seconds now. The duration was doubled, which I still can't quite get over. It's kind of, hey, Stampede isn't doing very well, let's double the duration. That seems like a strange arbitrary fix, but I'm not complaining because it's huge DPS. Glyphs aren't really all too important, but Animal Bond is very effective indeed. I should actually have Deterrence in here. Where is Deterrence? Having this as an off-spec isn't all that amazing. So Mirrored Blades, not that great unless you're on Butcher on Mythic, which we're not, so Deterrence is fantastic as well. Animal Bond will increase the healing you receive, and then Disengage lets you travel a little bit further. If you want to avoid wipes easily and avoid the repair bills, Glyph of Play Dead is actually very cool as well. Glyph of Stampede is cool if you want to have a lot of Lokna hacks running around, and then Glyph of Aspect of the Cheetah will stop you getting dazed. So that's those nice and happily taken care of. Stat priority is very interesting for Beast Mastery because your top stat priority is Haste. Your bottom stat priority is Versatility, but there's only 0.07 difference in the weighting between those two stats. So whatever stat you've got, you're pretty much going to be happy. Agility is very useful for you, obviously, as is the Assault Power from Agility. So if there's an item level upgrade which is a high upgrade, then take it regardless of stats. But in order, you want Haste, then Mastery, then Multi-Strike, Crit, and Versatility. Crit and Versatility are a little iffy because Versatility is non-RNG based and also gives you the benefit of reducing the damage you take. So that's a lot more useful than Crit, arguably, but that's how things are weighing anyway. But as I say, regardless of what's on the item, you're pretty much going to be happy with it as long as it's a higher item level. So when it comes to your abilities, things for Beast Mastery are kind of easy with your priority and rotation, but they get a little complicated in what you need to watch out for. So let's talk about your cooldowns first. Stampede is your big one. You need to use it on cooldown, preferably with any large buffs, such as your potions, such as any on-use things and pretty much anything which increases your damage, really. So that's where you should use Stampede. Now, after that, you've got Bestial Wrath. Bestial Wrath should be used on cooldown, but once again, if you can align it with anything nice and tasty and juicy, you should do so, and it'll give you a very nice DPS buff. The last one is Focus Fire. Focus Fire is kind of interesting because it relies on RNG, and it's RNG on your pet's behalf, because its basic attacks have a 40% chance to trigger Frenzy, granting it attack speed for 30 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. If that ever stacks to 5, you want to use Focus Fire. If you have Bestial Wrath coming up, you want to use Focus Fire regardless of the stacks, and if the Frenzy buff is going to fall off your pet at any point, you want to use Focus Fire. So you can see how that gets a little iffy. You need to use it at 5 stacks, but you also need to use it just before Bestial Wrath if you can, and you need to make sure that it is continually stacking. If it ever gets to the point where it's going to fall off, then you may as well use Focus Fire anyway, but 5 stacks is the preferred number. Now for your abilities themselves, you have Kill Command, Barrage, and Arcane Shot. Kill Command on cooldown. That has to be on cooldown. As soon as that comes up, it should be going straight into a monster, because our 2 set gives Kill Command a chance to reset Bestial Wrath. So Bestial Wrath is one of our biggest cooldowns, or our biggest cooldown outside of Stampede, so it increases all that damage. You can see how resetting it would be incredibly beneficial, but if it sits there doing nothing after being reset, there's a little bit of an issue, so you need to watch for when Bestial Wrath resets with the 2 set. Thankfully the 4 set doesn't really need any explanation at all. It's a straight DPS increase, while a little bit boring. At least you don't really have to do anything out of the ordinary to get the DPS increase. So there's that. Now, obviously you don't want to overlap your Bestial Wraths. They're not going to stack, so if you get the reset on the first Kill Command while in Bestial Wrath, you're still going to have a little bit of your Bestial Wrath left. Let it fall off, let it run its duration, and then pop it again. If you're lucky enough, you can actually get 3 to 4 Bestial Wraths in a row, which is kind of crazy, as you can imagine. Now, after Kill Command, you've got Barrage. Even on a single target, you've got Barrage. That's how it goes. And then Arcane Shot is for the latter. If you are ever going to focus cap and you don't have either of these off cooldown, Arcane Shot is the place to be. But it really shouldn't be used all that much, because Kill Command is going to come off cooldown very quickly, and Barrage is going to channel for quite a bit of the cooldown of Kill Command whenever you use it. So those go together very nice. Now the last thing is Steady Focus from our talents. You need to cast 2 Cobra Shots in a row to maintain this buff. But what's really nice about this, and kind of weird and odd, is that while you need to cast 2 Cobra Shots in a row, Kill Command and Focus Fire don't seem to count as abilities. So let's have a look at this. We'll put the pet on passive and we'll Cobra Shot. We didn't get Steady Focus. Kill Command. We'll Cobra Shot again. And we get Steady Focus. Which, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. It's a nice little trick if you can remember it. But either way, Kill Command and Focus Fire, rather, won't interrupt your Cobra Shot pairing, which is very odd indeed. Obviously Barrage and everything else will, so keep that in mind. Now, for your opener, the best way to get the most out of this whole setup is to get that Steady Focus as quickly as possible. So let's just make sure we're on a single Cobra Shot, and we'll get Steady Focus again. Feign Death. Now, if you haven't noticed, if you have a Steady Shot charge hidden wherever, you can actually start the fight with a single Cobra Shot giving you Steady Focus. But seeing as that's not overly reliable, to start off, we're going to Cobra Shot, Kill Command, Cobra Shot, Stampede, Bestial Wrath, Arcane Shot, maybe a third, Kill Command, and then straight into Barrage. So, what this would look like, you would pop your potion before your first Cobra Shot. I guess we can do that just to show. Make sure your pet's not on passive. Potion, Cobra Shot, Kill Command, Cobra Shot, Stampede, get them off as quickly as possible, Bestial Wrath, Arcane Shot until Kill Command comes back, and then Barrage. And then you continue as normal. And that is your opener. you basically want to be hoping and praying every time that happens. Oh, that is fantastic. Getting a reset that early will buff your DPS to insane heights. So we've got a third Bestial Wrath in a row. Rather happy with how Bestial Wrath works with this 2-set. Make sure you've always got enough focus to get those kill commands out as quickly as possible. Pull focus if you need to. Make sure steady focus is staying up as often as possible, so you can see how things start to get somewhat overwhelming depending on how much you can keep track of. But I'd recommend getting an add-on like Weak Auras. I'm going to go ahead and set that up for myself so I can keep track of everything that's going on here, because Beast Mastery right now is the highest DPS of all the Hunter specs. And if you don't like Beast Mastery, I guess that's a little bit of tough luck. Until 4 set, as I say, you do have a choice of Survival Marksman or Beast Mastery for single target fights, but as soon as you add more targets, Beast Mastery kind of takes the lead. So I'm just going to quickly show you some of the macros that I use, because I do use a few macros for Beast Mastery. I use one for Stampede, one for Kill Command, and one for Bestial Wrath. So the first one is Stampede. Now this is pretty self-explanatory. It just shows the tooltip for whatever you're going to use, and then casts, if you have no pet, it will cast Call Pet 2. Now for me, Call Pet 2 is Kalara, my Spirit Beast. That's the one I use for Beast Mastery. So, if we dismiss the pet, we have no pet, and then the macro will summon the pet. Then after that, if you do have a pet, it will be Stampede. A very nice way to keep both summoning a pet and Stampede on your bar. I find it really nice. Basically, if after a wipe I don't have a pet, I don't have to go fishing through my call pets, I can just click that one button, and then suddenly that button is now part of my rotation, because I'd never really find myself in a situation as BM where I'd want to use Stampede while I don't have a pet out. That doesn't really seem to line up very well, so that works very nice. And then Kill Command is very basic. Where is it? Kill Command is simply forcing my pet to attack the target I tell it to kill command. Very useful for swapping targets whenever you want to swap a target. It'll basically, if you want to kill command something, if you yourself are swapping the target, then your pet will be dragged across with it. Now, Bestial Wrath is a little more interesting. This is basically if you don't want to handle focus fire while Bestial Wrath is resetting. This will force you to expend any charges of focus fire you have for Bestial Wrath, which is actually a DPS increase for the most point. If you're about to get 5 stacks, obviously that's a little unfortunate. But either which way, this makes handling focus fire with Bestial Wrath resets a lot nicer for me personally. That's obviously not required, you can do that yourself, but the macro just makes it nice and simple. So those are the macros that I use, and that's it for this video. If you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to you. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.